Story 1. I once had a French dip sandwich. The bread was crusty, the beef was perfectly tender, and the cheese was gooey. You would dip it into the side of au jus, creating an amazing contrast between the soft bread soaked in the rich au jus and the crustiness of the bread with the tender pull of the meat. It was honestly near orgasmic. Story 2. Vegetarian here, so this may receive negative feedback, but hear me out. The number 5, Roger's Big Picnic, from Zingerman's Deli in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It features roasted, Michigan-grown asparagus, seared mushrooms, Vermont cheddar, and a Dijon vinaigrette, all grilled on house-made farm bread. The thing about Zingerman's is that for every single ingredient they use, they search tirelessly to find the best possible version of that ingredient anywhere in the world. If they can't find something good enough, they'll make it themselves. All their bread is made in-house. It is easily the best deli I have visited anywhere in the world. Before I became vegetarian, my favorite from them was John and Amy's Double Dip, which was basically a Reuben but with half pastrami and half corned beef. Story 3. It is hard to beat a good club sandwich. Fresh, perfectly toasted sourdough, crispy but not burned bacon, fresh, crunchy lettuce, and good sliced turkey. Story 4. Corned beef on dark rye or pumpernickel with strong mustard, iceberg lettuce, and proper cheese. Sharp cheddar, Monterey Jack, or Swiss will do. Story 5. Reuben, but I also really love Italian-style sandwiches, toasted with onions and then piled with lettuce, black olives, and banana peppers. Story 6. Sometimes called a Georgia or Carolina Reuben. This sandwich consists of rye bread, turkey, horseradish, coleslaw, and pepper jack cheese. Story 7. Peanut butter, honey, banana, and onion on whole wheat. I saw it in a movie when I was a child, and it has stayed with me throughout my life. Story 8. Pastrami on jalapeno cheese bread with pepper jack cheese. Most of the vegetables except onions, as I prefer them with mustard, salt, and pepper. Story 9. Turkey avocado on sourdough with all the vegetables and spicy mustard. A pastrami Reuben on rye is extremely filling. Story 10. The hot, melty grilled cheese and tomato soup right after shoveling snow. Other sandwiches are good, but the combination of the moment and the food is perfection. Story 11. Sliced tomato with salt, pepper, and mayonnaise on lightly toasted bread. Add a fried egg and cheese if you're feeling fancy. Story 12. I've never been able to replicate it, but I once had a peanut butter, pickle, bacon, and cheddar cheese sandwich, and it was magical. Sounds bizarre, but it was honestly the best sandwich I've ever had. I've had many sandwiches. Story 13. A small deli in Pennsylvania serves a sandwich called Smokey and the Bacon. It's a panini with mesquite turkey, bacon, melted cheddar, and mesquite mayo. Whenever I'm in that area, I order 5 to go. Story 14. A sandwich I had near Mont Saint-Michel years ago. Fresh bread, ham, and butter. Very simple but exquisite. Story 15. There was a place in Arizona called Torta del Rey, and their torta was the best sandwich I have ever had. It was amazing. Story 16. Grilled cheese at St. Verona's Pub in Peterborough, Ontario, accompanied by a mug of amazing Belgian beer. Story 17. Muffuletta from Central Grocery. Story 18. There was an Adam Sandler-themed food cart in Portland, Oregon, called Happy Grillmore that has since closed. They had a burger called the Chubs. It was amazing, especially when paired with some high-quality water. It was the perfect lunch. Story 19. Breakfast sandwich, toasted sourdough, scrambled eggs, bacon, cheese. I could eat a breakfast sandwich for every meal. Story 20. The Godmother at Bay City's Deli in Los Angeles. I always make a point to go back there whenever I visit. Story 21. This is really difficult, but I do like soft cheese, celery, and cheddar with mayonnaise on malted bread. It is niche and underrated. Story 22. A turkey club sandwich. Honorable mentions. The mighty peanut butter and jelly, tomato sandwich, bacon, lettuce, and tomato, banh mi, Philadelphia cheesesteak. All amazing. Story 23. The Montreal smoked meat sandwich I had at Schwartz's Deli 10 years ago still comes to mind. Story 24. For my friends in the Northwest. Winco Italian sub. Heat it in the microwave for a minute, and you'll be ready to experience pure bliss at your next meal. That metaphor got away from me a little. Go try it. I miss it so much now that I live in the Southeast. Story 25. I had a hot pastrami sandwich at the Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas during the summer of 1994. I have fond memories of that sandwich even 30 years later. Story 26. Torn between tuna on white bread, hard salami with sharp cheddar on white bread, or turkey with provolone from Cousin Subs. Story 27. Ferdy from Mother's Restaurant in New Orleans. Ham, roast beef, and shredded beef in au jus on French bread. Story 28. I had a sandwich while I was in France with my school when I was 13. We were supposed to have lunch at a restaurant, but it never worked out, so we went to a local bakery instead. They provided 28 rolls with spreadable cheese and ham off the bone. The roll was soft, and the cheese was creamy. I was in heaven. Story 29. Peanut butter and jelly, specifically crunchy peanut butter and strawberry jam, on slightly toasted whole grain wheat bread. Story 30. It doesn't exist anymore. Back in the 1990s, High Rise Bread Company in Cambridge, Massachusetts had a sandwich called Linda's Swinging Single. It featured roast pork loin, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and sweet mustard on a cornbread that was a hybrid between sandwich bread and traditional cornbread. It was the best sandwich ever. I returned in the 2000s and it was still on the menu, but they had changed it. There was no more cornbread, and it wasn't nearly as good. It seems to not be on the menu at all anymore. It has been a long time since I thought about that sandwich, and now I feel sad. Story 31. I do not like egg mayonnaise sandwiches, but if you add onion and spread Marmite on the bread, it magically transforms into a taste sensation. I dare you to try it. Story 32. No love for meatloaf? There used to be a place named Bakeman's in downtown Seattle that had the most amazing meatloaf sandwich. I had my first one almost 50 years ago and still remember it to this day. Story 33. Crispy bacon, romaine lettuce, and fresh tomato make up a classic sandwich. A thick toasted slice of bread, like Texas toast, is preferred, though I like whole wheat bread. A soft, mild cheese like Colby Jack complements the flavors. Finally, add a little mayonnaise or my secret ingredient. I spread some of the bacon fat from the pan onto the toast. Story 34. Please define a sandwich. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Can it be open-faced like a croque monsieur? If a croque monsieur is a sandwich, is a pizza a sandwich? Is a taco a sandwich? Is an ice cream sandwich part of this discussion? Story 35. Meatball or chicken parmesan with red sauce, a hunk of mozzarella, and meat is always a good time. Story 36. There is a great Italian cafe close to where I worked. They made a delicious grilled vegetable sandwich. I'm not a vegetarian, but sometimes I'm just not in the mood for meat or cold cuts. This sandwich was absolutely delightful. The grilled vegetables were flavorful, and the bread was crispy and light. It was so good. Story 37. Faux turkey on lightly toasted rye. Toast the bread and add 5 to 6 slices of faux turkey, 2 handfuls of green olives, shredded pickles, red onion, iceberg lettuce, spinach, pepper rings, black pepper, cucumber, mustard, and hot sauce. Story 38. Homemade Italian sandwich with boar's head salami and pepperoni, fresh sliced ham, and any white cheese heated in the microwave. Use pan-toasted bread with butter, and add olive oil and red wine vinegar for flavor without making the bread soggy. Season with ground pepper and salt. Place lettuce and tomatoes on the base, then add the hot meat and cheese side down to the inside of the top half of the sandwich. Include chips of your choice and a crisp pickle. Enjoy. Story 39. The Rachel is the sister of the Reuben, featuring pastrami instead of corned beef and coleslaw instead of sauerkraut. Story 40. Tin tuna, hummus, cumin seeds, shredded carrot, and something green like finely sliced iceberg lettuce or alfalfa sprouts. Story 41. Broccoli rabe, blanched and sautéed, fresh mozzarella, sun-dried tomatoes, extra virgin olive oil, and garlic on semolina bread, toasted and then pressed with salt and Calabrian pepper. Story 42. My favorite sandwich is a spicy chicken with candied bacon and chipotle ranch on a telera roll, topped with lettuce, tomato, and a pickle. The best sandwich I've had was a grilled cheese on rye with Swiss and cheddar, served with a salad of arugula and a beer on the outskirts of Paris, served by an angel at a bar called the Mad Dog Cafe. That sandwich saved my life. Story 43. Sauerkraut with pineapple, cooked ham on crispy bread, and baked with emmental cheese. A touch of good mustard is also allowed, along with optional pickle ketchup. Story 44. Quality pastrami on rye with sauerkraut and Russian dressing. A turkey sandwich with bacon, pepper jack cheese, avocado, and mayonnaise with mustard on sourdough always hits the spot. Story 45. The original Monterey Ranch chicken sandwich from Wendy's was introduced in the mid-1990s, but was discontinued years ago. There is no better chicken sandwich ever made. Story 46. Muffaletta, warmed, shrimp and or catfish po' boy, fully dressed with extra mayonnaise and some shots of hot sauce, Reuben, or cheeseburger, fully dressed with mayonnaise and mustard. It depends on my mood. Fully dressed includes lettuce, tomato, onion, and pickle. Story 47. Philly cheese with only the meat and extra provolone, without peppers, onions, or cheese sauce. Just melt the provolone and add a little Texas Pete hot sauce for a kick. Good to go. Story 48. A properly made Reuben with warm corned beef and all the other ingredients always hits the spot for me. Story 49. Hot shrimp parmesan. It sounds unusual, but my pizza place back home makes it, and I order it every time I visit. Cold Italian submarine sandwich. Story 50. Prime rib with shaved honey turkey on a toasted baguette with Munster cheese, lettuce, Dijon mustard, Kewpie mayonnaise, truffle oil, and vinegar. Story 51. My favorite sandwich changes frequently, but right now it consists of prosciutto, fresh mozzarella, arugula, olive oil, and balsamic glaze, all on Italian bread with a crunchy exterior and a soft, airy interior. Story 52. I love a nice pulled pork sandwich. My absolute favorite has to be a chicken cutlet or fried chicken on a sweet potato roll with mayo and pickles. This is perfection. Story 53. The Vito from Jimmy John's with extra oregano. Add salt and vinegar chips for crunch, and you have euphoria between two pieces of bread. Story 54. 2 pieces of white sandwich bread with yellow mustard and either fried bologna or sliced ham with thin barbecue chips in the sandwich after you spent all day at the pool, lake, river, or park. Story 55. There was a restaurant in town that had the best bread, fresh vegetables, and generous portions of meat. It had the favorite turkey sandwich ever. Story 56. To make a grilled cheese and fried bologna sandwich, start with 1 slice of bread and add a little mayonnaise and a good drizzle of yellow mustard. Next, add a slice of cheese, a piece of thick-cut fried bologna, and another slice of cheese. Then, add dill pickle slices and a little more mayonnaise on another piece of bread. Put the sandwich together and fry it in a pan until golden brown. Story 57. Bacon, baby gem lettuce, sweet vine-ripened tomatoes, mayonnaise, and toasted ciabatta. Story 58. I can't choose, but I do love a homemade deli-style sandwich with chips. I really want to go to the United States and try Katz's Deli. I visited New York City, but unfortunately didn't go there. I could also mention a chicken sandwich from my local Nashville hot chicken place. Story 59. I created one for my girlfriend. It's an egg in a basket between 2 slices of toast, stuffed with bacon, finely sliced cucumber, and homemade honey mustard sauce. She calls it the special sandwich and must have it at least once a month. Story 60. Grilled cheese was my ultimate comfort food that would soothe me when I was a picky eater due to sensory processing disorder. Although I have expanded my food palette as I got older, it still remains my favorite. Story 61. Turkey and corned beef on sourdough with Swiss cheese, Russian dressing, and coleslaw. Shout out to Turcotte Butcher and Deli in Dripping Springs. They call it the Rachel, and it's fantastic. Story 62. Turkey, ham, stuffing, and cheese on Brennan's bread, toasted on the grill. Chef's brown sauce on the side for dipping. It's a Christmas tradition, but worth the wait. Story 63. There was a place I found when I lived in San Diego that had an amazing garlic roast beef and bacon sandwich. It was one of those situations where the first time I went there, I had this sandwich, and every time I returned, I wanted to try something different but couldn't because the sandwich was so good. I moved away from San Diego in 2012, so I have no idea if this place is still there. I don't remember what it was called, but I do remember it was located in the Rancho Bernardo area. I worked in Forest Ranch, and the sandwich place was fairly close. Story 64. Beijing Flying Fish Cutter in Barbados. In Sydney, the Comrade Ovo from Small's Deli in Potts Point. Story 65. Turkey on a Dutch crunch roll with mayonnaise, mustard, lettuce, tomato, pickle, onion, cheddar cheese, and a sprinkle of black pepper. Story 66. Martino is a Belgian-style baguette filled with minced meat, ketchup, mustard, Worcestershire sauce, cayenne pepper, pickles, fresh onions, and Tabasco sauce. Story 67. It could be bacon and lettuce, a hard-boiled egg sandwich, or a grilled cheese sandwich. Story 68. Liverwurst, Swiss cheese, dill pickles, onions, and yellow mustard on preferably whole wheat bread, but anything will do in a pinch. Story 69. Sourdough bread with low-sodium roast beef and plenty of mayonnaise. Add some 3-pepper Colby Jack cheese, along with lettuce, pickles, and spinach. Sometimes, I replace the lettuce and spinach with a salad of my choice, including dressing. Served with a soda. Story 70. Bread forged in darkness from wheat harvested from hell's half-acre and baked by Beelzebub. Mayonnaise made from the evil eggs of a powerful dark chicken beaten into sauce by the hands of a one-eyed man. Cheese boiled from the rancid milk of a fanged cow. 666 separate meats from an animal with maggots for blood. Dijon mustard. Lettuce. Sun-dried tomatoes. I prefer to leave the tomatoes off. Story 71. Proper Reuben. Dark Russian rye smeared with real garlic butter and fried on a flat top, stone-ground mustard, special sauce, possibly Russian dressing and mayonnaise, lightly fried sauerkraut, corned beef or Montreal smoked beef, lightly fried and melted Swiss cheese, topped with a half-crunchy kosher dill pickle. Story 72. I had a spicy salami sandwich with eggplant in freshly baked focaccia bread in Florence, Italy. Absolutely amazing. Story 73. Open-faced stroganoff steak sandwich. Toasted French bread, broiled flank steak marinated overnight in beer, caramelized onions, and sour cream with a little horseradish on top. This recipe was passed down from my mom and will always be a favorite for me. Story 74. Turkey pesto bacon sandwich with mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato. I used to have one regularly at a local sandwich shop before they closed down. I am still sad that I will never have that specific sandwich made by them again. Story 75. Post-Thanksgiving sandwich. Any leftover items from a Thanksgiving dinner piled on fresh sourdough. Nowadays, I make extra side dishes just to include them in the sandwich. I even perfected homemade cranberry sauce for my sandwich, of course. Story 76. North Carolina pulled vinegar-based pork sandwich with slaw and hot sauce. Side of hush puppies and a sweet iced tea. Story 77. A bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich with guacamole, black olives, and honey mustard. I would also like a chocolate chip cookie. Thank you very much. Story 78. Panini sandwich with thin slices of grilled chicken, red onion, pepper jack cheese, chipotle mayonnaise, grilled sliced pasilla chili, and crispy bacon. Story 79. I think it would be one I created myself. The filling was lasagna and coleslaw. The best sandwich I ever bought was at an old workplace. The filling was bacon, cranberry sauce, and brie. I haven't had one of those in years, and I'm drooling at the thought of it now. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.